Mechanical keyboards. This is a Cherry MX board. This one particularly is Cherry MX 3.0. It's relatively inexpensive for Cherry at least, and it has brown switches. A lot of people think that mechanical keyboards are really just for gamers. They're not. They're just a much more comfortable way of typing. I got this a few years ago, and I'm sure at some point I'll get around to actually reviewing it, but I do think it's an excellent product. Cherry tend to be known as the sort of highest quality manufacturer, but there are lots more options now in mechanical keyboards. So today we've got an unboxing. It's been sent to me for review from a company called Epomaker. So thank you very much to them for sending this out for us to have a little look at. It's got their own proprietary switches that they've made. So the switch is the actual mechanical thing that activates, the thing that actually depresses to the thing that is actually going in, turning on, if you like, every single time you do a key press. Most keyboards are what you call membrane keyboards. They have a little soft squishy thing underneath, and that's what you're pressing in, and that's what makes it spring back up. And there's a little electrical contact under that that essentially senses when you've pressed each key. But a mechanical keyboard works differently. It actually has a set of springs, and it has a physical switch, which a circuit is broken when it's depressed, and therefore it registers that you've made a key press. There are different types of switches. The Cherry MX board is what you call brown switches, which has a kind of tactile feeling. So what that means is there's a response, there's a force that comes back against you, well, when you press it, and that's how you know that you've pressed it, essentially. And there are other types of switches out there. There are blue switches, which have a little clicky sound. There are red switches, which are silent, but they aren't tactile. Let's get up a Word document. This is a Cherry brown keyboard. It does have a little bit of a sound, but that is only because it's not anything that's actually clicking in there. It's only because of the key activation. This one is actually Epomaker's own proprietary switches, which they're calling Sea Salt. And you've got, look at their website, they've got so many choices of different switches to suit what you think you would prefer. If you're not used to using mechanical keyboards, if you haven't used one yet, then people tend to think the red ones are probably the best for beginners. Blue if you like a lot of sound, but be aware it's going to be loud, so you're not going to want to type on one of those in a library or something like that, or in a shared office space. This one even comes with a little screen of some description, and I have no idea really what I'm going to see on that screen, but we'll see. That actually slots in here, I believe. No, it must sort of slot in there. Oh. Oh nice, so that's the transceiver. That can actually go into a computer to be used wirelessly. I didn't know that was the case. I presumed it was just a Bluetooth. It's got Mac and Windows options here. Option to turn it on, so it has got some battery. It does have RGB colour lights, which the Cherry board doesn't have, although you can get Cherry boards that do. My question is, what do I do with that when I'm using? I suppose that can now go straight into my computer. Wow. Yeah, it's working just fine. This is a very interesting feeling keyboard. It's got a huge media button here. Volume when you rotate, play and pause obviously. Good, and it's a full-size keyboard. It's a kind of classic looking, not old school looking, but then it's got this RGB flickering behind. Wonder how one changes the lights. There seems to be options there. Must be function. Cycles through the colours. Right, well, I'm gonna have a little type on this. Much more quiet than my previous keyboard. This has a reassuring clack rather than a kind of click, which I kind of like. And I don't know how to get the screen to display something, so let's have a little look. This is the key cap puller. So this is used because you can essentially take all these keycaps off and replace them with other things on a mechanical keyboard. How cool is this? I really like this keyboard. I'm going to use it for a few days and I'm going to get back to you at the end of this video, and then I'll use it for a couple of weeks and I'll give you my full thoughts. So you can choose to display things through the driver, so I guess I need to download the driver. So this is the Epomaker RT100. Really like it so far. It's got sea salt switches. What was the sea salt? How do we describe those? There are loads of different choices you can use there. Classic looking design, isn't it? It's like a really old school keyboard looking design. I love the brown. This does feel like it's going to break at some point. It's not firmly on. Mini TV's detachable port becomes a hidden home for the 2.4 Hz wireless receiver. Fine. 97 keys. Powerful software for macro, backlight and mini TV animation is programmable. So there's a Type-C port here for the mini TV, but there's also a Type-C port here that you can just go into the computer wired if you prefer. Adjustable 2-stage feet. Oh, I see. So you've got different heights here. Heavy operating force with linear feature. So it's linear, but it takes a lot to press them essentially. And as you can hear, they're silent. So these are my first thoughts on the Epomaker after using it for just a few days. First thing, I like these switches because I like the silence. Although the spacebar does have a little bit of an audible slap. So I'm going to do a little bit of a key hero. You'll probably hear that slight distracting slap when I hit the spacebar. Apart from that though, the keys sound great. You'll see when I type as well, the enter key is a little bit smaller than what I'm used to because they've tried to kind of squeeze in this kind of entire keyboard setup, this 100% setup into a smaller form factor. They've really had to squish in some of the keys around here compared to what I'm used to, and I think that's a really important thing to say, is that I've been typing on a much larger keyboard for a longer time and I'm not really used to having the keys squeezed in a little bit here. I'm a little bit torn as to whether they should have really squeezed the 10 key in here. Also, I find the 0 a little bit small, and again, because of what I'm used to, it's not really a criticism. If you know you want more compact, then I think this is great, and if you know you need a 10 key and you want more compact, then I still think this is a perfectly fine setup. However, I kind of wish that if it was this small, it just didn't bother with the 10 key. But this is all preference stuff here. I also wish that they'd actually shipped it with replacement keycaps for the UK setup. So this is actually it's not an AT key, it's a speech marks key here. And the AT key is down here. They didn't actually ship it automatically with those replacements. I could probably order them, but they didn't come shipped. That's something that other keyboards have just automatically come shipped with. However, this is actually what's known in this country as the Mac layout, although it's just the US layout. So it is designed to be able to work between Mac and Windows. So when you switch across there, well, that would naturally be where the key is for a Mac. I like all the lighting settings, and you just change them here. I do wish every single company would actually just put all of their hotkeys on the back for their functions. So every single keyboard company, please just remember, print all your hotkeys on the back so that we don't have to forget where they are. I've gone for this kind of subtle, when you press each key, that particular key lights up. You can probably barely even see it on this camera here, but it's quite nice. You know, just a little bit of a mood. I'm gonna go ahead and have a go at a key hero now, and this is a bit of a please don't judge, because I'm not gonna be all that fast here. I'm not a super fast typer anyway. But because I've been moving between different keyboards recently to evaluate this one and a couple of others, this isn't going to be the fastest key hero in the world, but it's more about just showing you some typing on it. Go again. Not great, 41 words per minute, but there we are. That was the typing and the sound. And did you hear that kind of occasional slap there? I haven't been able to get the little screen to turn on yet, although I'm sure I will. I downloaded the driver and I've managed to transfer something across to it, but I haven't actually been able to get it to turn on. You can only transfer across to it when you're wired to the keyboard, which that makes perfect sense as well. But this is also the place where the little transceiver lives, so I'm kind of happy with that at this point. More concerned about the actual keyboard than the gimmicky little screen there. It does seem a little bit flimsy when it's in here as well. But I'm sure I'm just missing something, and I'll get in contact with them, and I'm sure I'll be able to figure out how to actually get that to display something. Overall, my first thoughts about this keyboard are really positive. The activation pressure on these sea salt switches is a little bit heavy, perhaps for my taste, so that might not have been a great choice by me of exactly which switches to go for, but they've got so many choices of different switches on the website, which is absolutely awesome. So it is really good, and it's only a little bit more expensive than my Cherry keyboard, but you get a lot more. You get wireless, you get the mini screen. You've also got Bluetooth pairing as well as wireless transceiver. You get a little dial here, which is quite cool for the little media functions as well. And you get a full 10-key keyboard with RGB backlighting. What's not to like? I'm really impressed by this keyboard. I will do a full review of this at some point. Good job, Epomaker. I'm really pleased with this. Standout feature for me is that silent key press. I think that's excellent. I think maybe I just need to lubricate the stabilizers in the spacebar to make that just as silent.